What happens when one of the most famous royals in the world sits down for what should be a simple chat about charity work, only to face a host who seems determined to tear him down? In just 46 seconds, a single comment would turn a television studio into a battleground and end with security escorting a prince off the set. The Loose Women studio was buzzing with its usual energy. The panel sat ready, Denise Welch in the center chair, flanked by Ruth Langsford, Janet Street Porter, and Kay Adams. Their guest was arriving any moment, Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex himself. This was supposed to be a friendly conversation about his latest charitable initiative supporting veterans with mental health struggles. Harry walked onto the set with that familiar, easy smile, waving to the studio audience. The applause was warm, genuine. He took his seat, straightened his jacket, and the cameras rolled. "Well, welcome, welcome," Denise began, her voice dripping with a sweetness that didn't quite reach her eyes. "How lovely of you to grace us with your presence. Must be quite the change from your usual, what shall we call it? Your California bubble." Harry's smile tightened, just a fraction. "Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to talk about the foundation and the work we're doing with veterans who—" Yes, the veterans," Denise cut him off with a wave of her hand. "We'll get to that. But first, I think our viewers are more interested in the real questions, the ones you always seem to dodge." Ruth shifted uncomfortably in her seat. Kay glanced sideways at Denise with raised eyebrows. "I'm happy to answer anything," Harry said, his voice still calm, still measured. "But I did come here specifically to talk about mental health support and—" "Mental health," Denise interrupted again, leaning forward. "Right. That's your thing now, isn't it? Quite convenient, really. Talk about your struggles, write your books, do your Netflix shows, all while cashing in on the very institution you claim damaged you so badly." The studio audience went quiet. You could hear the cameras adjusting, zooming in. Harry took a breath. "I think there's a misunderstanding about—" "Is there, though?" Denise pressed on. "Because from where I'm sitting, and I think I speak for a lot of British people here, it looks like you want all the perks of being royal. All the attention, all the security, all the money, but none of the responsibility. You want to have your cake and eat it too, don't you?" "Denise," Ruth interjected softly. "Maybe we should let him—" "No, Ruth, I think this needs to be said," Denise snapped at her fellow panelist before turning back to Harry. "Someone needs to ask the difficult questions, instead of treating you with kid gloves just because of who your grandmother was." Harry's jaw clenched. "My grandmother has nothing to do with the work I'm trying to do for veterans. These are people who served their country, who came back with invisible wounds, and they deserve support." "Oh, they deserve support," Denise mocked. "And you're the one to give it to them, are you? You, who ran away when things got tough? You, who abandoned your duties? You, who couldn't handle a bit of press criticism, so you fled to America with your actress wife?" Janet Street Porter jumped in. "Hang on, Denise. That's a bit—" "A bit what, Janet? A bit honest?" Denise turned to her colleague. "We're all thinking it. He swans in here expecting us to fawn over him, to nod along while he plays the victim, but I'm not going to do it." Harry's voice remained steady, but there was steel underneath now. "I came here to talk about veterans. Men and women who put their lives on the line. If you're not interested in having that conversation, then perhaps this was a mistake." "Oh, there it is," Denise said, sitting back with a triumphant smile. "The moment someone challenges you, you want to leave. That's very telling, isn't it? Can't take the heat, so you run, just like you always do." "That's not fair," Kay Adams said, finally speaking up. "He's trying to do something good here, and you're just attacking him personally." Denise whipped around to face Kay. "I'm doing my job. I'm asking questions the public wants answered. Or would you prefer we just sit here and let him control the narrative like he does everywhere else? Harry stood up slowly. I think we're done here. Sit down, Denise commanded. We're not finished. Actually, we are, Harry said quietly. I've dealt with hostile press before. I've dealt with people who want to tear me down for sport. But I came here in good faith to talk about something that matters. Something bigger than me. And you've made it clear you have no interest in that. The audience was completely silent now. Ruth looked mortified. Janet was shaking her head. Kay had her hand over her mouth. Good faith? Denise laughed, a harsh sound. You don't know the meaning of good faith. You wrote a book trashing your family. You did interviews attacking the institution that gave you everything. And now you want to lecture me about good faith? My family is my business, Harry said, his voice harder now. What happened between us is between us. But these veterans, they're not pawns in whatever game you think you're playing. They're real people with real struggles. Don't you dare, Denise stood up too, pointing her finger at him. Don't you dare try to take the moral high ground with me. You who sold out your brother, your father, everyone who ever cared about you. For what? Money? Fame? So you could play the poor little prince in Hollywood? Denise, stop, Ruth said, her voice firm now. This is going too far. Is it? Denise spun to face the panel. Or am I the only one brave enough to say what everyone's thinking? He's a hypocrite. He talks about privacy while doing tell-all interviews. He talks about mental health while causing his elderly grandparents nothing but stress in their final years. He talks about service while abandoning his post. Harry's face had gone red, but his voice stayed level. You don't know anything about my grandparents. You don't know what conversations we had. You don't know... I know enough, Denise cut him off. I know you weren't there. I know you were off in your mansion while your grandfather was dying. I know you came back for the funeral and left as quickly as you could. Stop it, Janet said loudly. Denise, seriously, stop. But Denise was on a roll now. And your military service? Please. You want to talk about veterans? You played dress up in a uniform for a few years, had people protect you every step of the way, and now you act like you understand their struggle. You were a prince playing soldier, not a real soldier. That did it. Harry's eyes flashed. I served 2 tours in Afghanistan. I fought alongside real soldiers. I saw friends get hurt. I saw the cost of war up. Close. Don't you dare diminish that service. Oh, I'm sorry, Denise said with exaggerated sympathy. Did I hurt your feelings? Did I say something that made you uncomfortable? Welcome to the real world, Your Royal Highness. The world where people don't bow and scrape just because of your last name. I never asked anyone to bow, Harry said through gritted teeth. I never wanted special treatment. I just wanted to do something meaningful, to help people who actually need it. Then why the titles? Denise shot back. Why do you still use Duke and Duchess? Why do your children have Prince and Princess titles if you're so desperate to be normal? You can't have it both ways, Harry. This is insane, Kay said. We invited him here to talk about charity work, and you've turned it into a character assassination. I'm asking legitimate questions, Denise insisted. Questions that our viewers deserve answers to. No, Ruth said firmly. You're being cruel. There's a difference between tough questions and bullying, and you've crossed that line. Denise turned on Ruth. Oh, so now I'm the bully? Not the man who went on international television and accused his family of racism? Not the man who wrote intimate details about his brother's life without permission? I'm the bully? Harry shook his head slowly. You've already made up your mind about me. Nothing I say here will change it. You brought me on this show not to have a conversation, but to attack me, to get your ratings, to get your clips for social media. Well, congratulations. You got what you wanted. He turned to walk off the set. That's right. Run away. Denise called after him. Run back to Montecito. Run back to your Netflix deals and your podcast and your comfortable life. But don't pretend you're some kind of hero. Don't pretend you're serving anyone but yourself. Harry stopped. He turned back around. You want to know the truth? The real truth? I left because I watched what the press did. To my mother. I watched how people like you picked apart every single thing she did. Every word she said. Every outfit she wore. I watched it destroy her. And when I saw it starting to happen to my wife, I made a choice. I chose my family over duty. I chose love over obligation. And I'd make that choice again every single time. The studio was dead silent. And as for the veterans, Harry continued, his voice shaking slightly now, they don't care about my titles or my family drama or any of this nonsense. They care that someone sees them. Someone hears them. Someone understands that coming home from war doesn't mean the war is over in your head. I may not have all the answers, but at least I'm trying to do something. What are you doing besides tearing people down on daytime television? Denise's face was flushed. How dare you come into my studio and... Your studio? Harry interrupted. This isn't your studio. This is a platform that's supposed to inform and uplift people. Instead, you're using it to spread nastiness and division. My mother dealt with people like you her whole life. People who smiled to her face and stabbed her in the back. People who pretended to care while they were really just looking for the next headline. Don't you bring Diana into this, Denise said, her voice rising. Don't you use your mother's memory to deflect from your own failures. Failures? Harry's voice was incredulous now. I've built a life with someone I love. I'm raising my children in a safe environment. I'm working on causes I believe in. If that's failure to you, then I'm proud to fail. Janet stood up. Right, I think we need to take a break. This has gotten completely out of hand. Sit down, Janet, Denise ordered. We're not taking a break. He started this by agreeing to come on the show, knowing full well we ask tough questions. Tough questions? Harry laughed bitterly. You haven't asked me a single question about the foundation, about the programs we're running, about the veterans we've helped. You've just attacked me personally from the moment I sat down. Because your personal choices matter, Denise insisted. You can't separate them from your charity work. You can't trash your family and then expect people to take you seriously as some kind of philanthropist. Why not? Harry challenged. Are you saying people can't be complicated? That they can't make difficult choices and still try to do good in the world? Or is it just that you've decided I'm the villain in your story and nothing will change your mind? Ruth stood up now too. Denise, I really think we should... No, Denise cut her off. I'm not backing down. Someone needs to hold him accountable. Accountable for what? Harry demanded. For protecting my family? For choosing mental health over tradition? For being honest about my experiences? For being selfish, Denise spat. For putting yourself first. For forgetting where you came from and who made you, who you are. Who made me who I am? Harry's voice was quiet now, dangerous. The press made me who I am. The people who chased my mother through a tunnel. The people who hacked my phone. The people who published lies about my wife. They made me. The British people made you, Denise said. The taxpayers who funded your lifestyle. The institution that protected you. Your family who loved you. And you threw it all back in their faces. Harry walked closer to the desk, looking Denise directly in the eye. The British people have always been kind to me. It's people like you, people in the media, who have the problem. You build people up just so you can tear them down. You create heroes just so you can destroy them. And when someone says enough, when someone walks away from your games, you can't stand it. This isn't a game, Denise shot back. This is real life. And in real life, actions have consequences. You can't just run away and expect everyone to forget what you've done. I'm not asking anyone to forget anything, Harry said. I'm asking for basic human decency. I'm asking to be allowed to live my life and do my work without being constantly attacked for decisions I made to protect the people I love. Kay spoke up again. And I think that's reasonable. We can disagree with his choices without being cruel about it. Oh, please, Denise rolled her eyes. This isn't cruelty. This is accountability. If he wants to be a public figure, if he wants to do his charity work in the spotlight, then he needs to accept that people will have opinions. Strong opinions. There's having opinions, and there's what you're doing, Harry said. You're not trying to understand. You're not even trying to have a real conversation. You just want to score points. You want the viral moment, the clip that gets shared, the controversy that gets people talking. And you don't? Denise challenged. Every interview you do isn't carefully calculated. Every appearance isn't designed for maximum impact. Come on, Harry. You're in the same business I am. Don't act like you're above it. I'm not above it, Harry admitted. But I'm trying to use whatever platform I have for something positive, to actually help people. What are you using yours for? Denise stood up straighter. I'm using mine to ask the questions that need to be asked, to challenge people in power, to not just accept the official narrative. I'm not in power, Harry said, frustration clear in his voice. I left. Remember? That's the whole point. I stepped back from royal duties. I moved away. I gave up the role. But you kept the perks, Denise pounced. The titles, the security, the connections, the money. You want to be private, but you sign deals worth millions. You want to be left alone, but you do podcast interviews and write books. You can't have it both ways. Why not? Harry asked simply. Why can't I have a private family life and also work on projects I care about? Why does it have to be all or nothing? Because that's not how it works, Denise said. You were born into a role that comes with responsibilities. You don't get to pick and choose which parts you like. Actually, I do, Harry said firmly. That's exactly what I did. I made a choice. And yes, it was hard. Yes, it hurt people. Yes, there were consequences. But it was my choice to make. And the rest of us have to live with it, Denise said. We have to watch the monarchy be dragged through the mud. We have to watch your brother pick up the slack. We have to watch your father navigate being king while dealing with your constant attacks. Harry's voice went very quiet. My brother and I have our own relationship. My father and I have our own relationship. Those are private matters. They stopped being private when you published a book about them, Denise countered. They stopped being private when you did that Oprah interview. You made them public, Harry, not me. I shared my truth, Harry said. My experience, not theirs. Your truth, Denise repeated mockingly. That's convenient, isn't it? Your truth can be whatever you want it to be. Meanwhile, they can't defend themselves. They can't respond. They have to just sit there and take it while you cash your checks. They can respond, Harry said. They choose not to. That's their decision. Because they have dignity, Denise snapped. Because they understand duty and service in a way you never did. Ruth stood up again. Okay, that's enough. Denise, you've made your point. We need to... I haven't made my point, Denise said loudly. My point is that he's standing here acting like a victim when he's anything but. He had every privilege in the world, and he threw it away because things got a bit difficult. A bit difficult? Harry's composure finally cracked. My wife was suicidal. She was getting death threats. The press was printing lies about her every single day. My children were being talked about in the most disgusting ways. That's not a bit difficult. That's intolerable. So you ran, Denise said coldly. Instead of fighting, instead of using your position to change things from the inside, you just gave up and left. I didn't give up, Harry said, his voice shaking now. I chose to fight differently. I chose to protect my family first, and I won't apologize for that. Well, you should, Denise said. You should apologize to your family, to your country, to everyone who believed in you. The studio audience started to murmur. A few people were shaking their heads. Harry looked around the studio, then back at Denise. I'm done here. I came to talk about veterans and mental health. Instead, I've been ambushed and insulted. This isn't journalism. This isn't even entertainment. It's just mean. He started to walk off the set again. That's right. Walk away, Denise called after him. Just like you always do. Just like you walked away from your family, your duty, your country. Run back to California, where everyone tells you what you want to hear. Harry stopped at the edge of the stage. Without turning around, he said, You know what the saddest part is? You actually believe you're the good guy here. You actually think you're doing something noble by tearing me down. But all you're doing is proving exactly why I left. People like you make it impossible to have honest conversations about real issues. Everything has to be a fight. Everything has to be personal. Everything has to be about winning and losing instead of actually helping anyone. He walked off the set. Denise turned to the cameras. Well, there you have it, folks. Prince Harry, everyone. Can't take the heat, so he leaves. Story of his life, really. Ruth was furious. Denise, that was completely out of line. We invited him here as a guest, and you attacked him from the start. I asked him questions, Denise defended herself. Hard questions. If he can't handle that, he shouldn't agree to interviews. Those weren't questions, Janet said, shaking her head. That was a hit job. You had your mind made up before he even walked through the door. Oh, come on, Denise said. You all saw the same things I did. The Oprah interview, the book, the constant complaining while living in luxury. Someone needed to say it. No one needed to say it like that, Kay said quietly. We could have had a real conversation. We could have asked about his work. We could have kissed his ring and pretended everything is fine, Denise interrupted. No, thank you. I have integrity. The cameras were still rolling. The producers in the control room were frantically trying to decide what to do. Backstage, Harry was being approached by a producer. Your Royal Highness, I'm so sorry about what happened. That wasn't supposed to... Harry held up his hand. It's fine. I'm leaving. Please don't contact my team about rescheduling. This clearly isn't the right venue for the kind of conversation I wanted to have. The producer looked mortified. We really are sorry. Denise went off script. We had questions prepared about the foundation, and... It doesn't matter, Harry said tiredly. The damage is done. And honestly, it's probably better this way. At least now people can see what these shows are really about. As Harry headed for the exit, security appeared to escort him out, more for protection from cameras than anything else. Back in the studio, the panel was fracturing. I can't believe you did that, Ruth said to Denise. We're supposed to be better than the tabloids. I am better than the tabloids, Denise insisted. I asked him real questions to his face, instead of printing rumors and speculation. You ambushed him, Janet said flatly. You invited him here under false pretenses and then attacked him. That's not journalism. That's entrapment. It's holding the powerful accountable, Denise argued, but her voice was less certain now. Kay was looking at the audience. Many of them looked uncomfortable. Some were whispering to each other. A few were shaking their heads in disapproval. I think the audience might disagree with you, Kay said quietly. Denise looked out at the crowd. For the first time, she seemed to realize that the mood in the room wasn't supportive. It was hostile. Toward her. We need to go to commercial, the floor director called out. As soon as the cameras cut, Ruth stood up and walked off the set without a word to Denise. Janet followed her. That was disgraceful, Denise. Absolutely disgraceful. Kay lingered for a moment. You know, he was right about one thing. We could have done something good today. We could have talked about mental health and veterans and important issues. Instead, we just created another viral moment of conflict. Is that really what we want to be known for? She walked off too, leaving Denise alone at the desk. The studio audience was filing out, many of them talking animatedly about what they'd just witnessed. The energy wasn't excited. It was uncomfortable, shocked, disappointed. Denise sat there, suddenly very aware of how quiet the studio had become. The producers were huddled together, clearly having an intense discussion. Her fellow panelists wanted nothing to do with her. The audience had turned. She'd won the confrontation. She'd gotten her viral moment. She'd said everything she wanted to say. So why did it feel so hollow? Outside the studio, Harry climbed into his car. His security team asked if he was okay. He nodded, but he was quiet, thinking. He thought about his mother, about the countless interviews and confrontations she'd endured, about the toll it had taken on her, about how she'd tried to use her platform for good, but was constantly pulled into fights and drama. He thought about his wife, watching at home, probably worried about him, about his children, who would one day be old enough to see clips of this interview. What would they think? He thought about the veterans he was trying to help. Would this debacle hurt the foundation? Would people associate the charity with the controversy? Would it make things harder for the people who needed help? And he thought about Denise Welch, sitting in that studio, probably feeling victorious, probably already planning how to spin this on social media, probably convinced she'd done the right thing. Maybe she believed that. Maybe she genuinely thought she was holding him accountable, asking tough questions, representing the voice of the people. Or maybe she just wanted the attention, the headlines, the debate, the relevance. Harry didn't know, and as his car pulled away from the studio, he realized he didn't really care. He'd said what he needed to say. He'd stood up for himself and his family. He'd defended his choices and his work. And now he was leaving. Not running away. Just choosing not to engage anymore with people who had no interest in understanding. The car drove through the London streets. In a few hours, he'd be on a plane back home. Back to California. Back to his family. Back to the work that actually mattered. And loose women would have their viral moment. Their controversy, their ratings bump. But they wouldn't have him. Not again. Inside the studio, they were trying to figure out how to finish the show. The remaining segments would have to be reworked. The tone would need to be addressed. Damage control would need to begin. Denise was still at the desk, scrolling through her phone. Social media was already exploding. Clips were being shared. Think pieces were being written in real time. Some people were praising her for telling it like it is, for not being afraid to challenge royalty, for asking the hard questions, but others were furious, calling her a bully, saying she'd ambushed a guest, pointing out that she'd barely let him speak about the actual reason for his visit. The Sai. Debate was raging. Everyone had an opinion. And in the end, wasn't that what these shows were designed to do? Create conversation? Generate heat? Get people talking? Denise told herself that's exactly what she'd accomplished. That the controversy was the point. That any publicity was good publicity. But somewhere deep down, in a place she didn't want to examine too closely, she wondered if maybe, just maybe, she'd gone too far. The show went back on air. They tried to move forward, tried to discuss other topics, tried to act like nothing unusual had happened. But everyone watching knew. Everyone in the studio knew. Everyone involved knew. This wasn't just another interview. This wasn't just another celebrity appearance gone wrong. This was the moment when a show designed to create conversation had instead created a spectacle. When the line between tough questioning and personal attack had been crossed. When entertainment had been prioritized over substance. And everyone involved would have to live with the consequences of that choice. The cameras kept rolling. The panel kept talking. The show went on. But something had fundamentally changed. A line had been crossed. A bridge had been burned. Prince Harry wouldn't be coming back to loose women. That much was certain. Whether anyone else would want to, after this display, remained to be seen.